Who does a road trip in a CCS car during a holiday? Stay tuned, see if we make it. I've never worked so hard to get it in the angle and the position where the cord will go in the car.
You had something en route plugged in and you wanted to change it or add another stop, you would literally have to stop the car.
Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take a road trip in a Kia EV6. Okay, so we are on the east side of Cincinnati. We're going to Cumberland Gap, Tennessee. So let's try the voice navigation. Navigate to Cumberland Gap, Tennessee.
Sorry, I didn't understand you. Please try your command again after the beep.
Navigate to Cumberland Gap, Tennessee.
I still didn't understand you. Please try your command again after the beep.
So that was pointless, but maybe we can find a map menu. Goes to map. Let's just type it in. Okay, 226 miles. Is it going to put in charging? Press the search menu. We want this is the first Electrify America. 82 miles. And it does not tell us what we're going to arrive with. Or I can't see anywhere that it says what our arrival charge is. So that's really not great. 96% charge. At this point, it says our range is 253 miles. It's 45 degrees. Hi there, you find us here in Electrify America at the Walmart in Georgetown, Kentucky, where we had to back in, and part of the car is in the thoroughfare. These are angled and they're in the middle of the parking lot, and I have no choice but to back in. I've never worked so hard to get it in the angle and the position where the cord will go in the car. Completely ridiculous. At the grocery store right before Thanksgiving, you can imagine how much fun this is. One of the stations is down. Then we were able to get a 150 kilowatt station going. I have some thoughts about the EV6 so far. It has on-route preconditioning, but it doesn't have route planning, so it doesn't tell you how much you're going to arrive at your destination with. So I think that's pretty irritating all around. The preconditioning did work. We're getting a fast charge. We're charging at 130 kilowatts at 68%. We'll charge up here and then get on down the road, but this has been a very frustrating experience. Well, we made it to our destination, and I'm pretty impressed with the EV6 as a road tripper. It's in the mid-40s today, and it achieved 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, mostly highway speeds of around 75. We did have some traffic, so I'm sure that helped the efficiency. But this is an example of where a heat pump really does pay off. The EV6 has a couple of things that are absolutely necessary these days in a new EV. For one, it has a heat pump. Two, it has on-route preconditioning if you choose to turn that on. And we saw the effect of that in the high speed and high rate of charge that we received at our first and only stop of this trip. The biggest letdown for me is the lack of route planning. You don't really know what your destination state of charge will be. And you know, that's a big deal. Weather, traffic, wind, terrain are all the variables that you need to know in order to know what your state of charge at the destination is. Some cars do that well. Tesla does that very well. This car doesn't do it at all. I will say, Howie, driver assist, this is 1.0, not 2. You know, it does a good job staying in the lane. You do have to change the lane yourself, and then it comes back. I'm not sure where the EV6 fits in the marketplace, however. Since it doesn't get the federal tax credit if you buy it. I believe those are available to you if you lease it. But how does this stack up against the ID4, which we own? How does it stack up against the Model Y, which is the elephant in the room, the #1 selling EV? It does get over-the-air updates, I believe. I like the car. It handles better than it ought to for its size. It does. It's definitely in the Tesla mold. It's the suspension is more sporty than the ID4, but not as harsh as my 2020 Model 3 for sure. But it handles very, very well. A little bit more on the firm side. Look at all that. Wow. Welcome to the interior of the EV6. You can see we have 2 big screens in the front. I will say my vision of the screen is sort of obscured by the steering wheel for my appropriate angle. There's a big storage bin down here at the bottom. There's a traditional glove box. This sort of big peninsula here does take up quite a lot of room. That's pretty hard. And to me, one of the issues with this car, and certainly at its price point, and certainly compared to the competition, is it's just a little bit cheap and plasticky. The buttons are very flimsy. There's not a lot of, this looks good, the texture looks good, but it just has a bit of a cheap feel to it. Now this is the Wind, which is the middle trim, rear-wheel drive, so it's the longest range version of the EV6 that you can get. It drives great. I like auto hold. I like the regen brake options. In fact, you have paddles here, which is great, but it is comfortable, and I do like that you get, even in this middle trim, ventilated seats. I do appreciate that. While the seats look a little bit eccentric, they are comfortable, and these headrests are also adjustable. This car does not come with a moonroof, but I think that's okay. I'm 5'11". You see that I have plenty of room here in the back seat, and we have cup holders back here for those who need them. This is a nice place to be. You can see there is quite a bit of angle here underneath my knees, some space here underneath my knees. So it's, the floor could be a little lower, but that's very common. In EVs, the batteries have to go somewhere. It is nice to have the vents back here. We do have vents here on the pillar. That would be nice for rear seat passengers. Yeah, nice place to be. Still pretty plasticky. I don't fault companies for being plasticky more further you go back, because that's where you're going to have things that can need to be wiped up more than this. And you can see here the eccentric shape of these seats. However, they still are very effective. There's a USB-C for passengers as well, which is nice to charge devices. One of the things you see, if you've seen other reviews, is down here on the infotainment. If you want to adjust the music or the entertainment, you have to make sure that's selected. So this is how you turn the volume, up or down. Okay, if it's in the HVAC mode, this is how you turn hot or cold. It's not that big a deal. I'm assuming you get used to it, and you would use the music probably more than you would the HVAC. But really, is that necessary in the grand scheme of things? I don't think it is, and I think it's worse than maybe adding, they could have made it smaller and accomplished the same thing. Look at all this extra space here. Why don't we have both? Or even some more physical buttons here wouldn't be bad, although they would be this cheap plastic stuff. The mode selectors here on the steering wheel works great: Eco, Normal, and Sport. While it's great that it has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, I think at 50 grand, we should expect the native system to be able to do what it's supposed to do. It's really bad. The one advantage it does have is if you use the native nav and you select the option, you can choose to precondition going to especially when it's cold, going to a next your next DC fast charger. The ID4 doesn't have that. Of course, that's standard in a Tesla. But it's really not intuitive at all. I would say even the navigation doesn't even work well. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure what Hyundai Kia is doing with that, or really what they're not doing, because it's not great at all. Okay, we are on the return trip back from Tennessee to Cincinnati. We have 150 miles to go to our first stop. We are charged to 100%. Temperature is in the mid 40s and going to get cooler as we go north. The heat pump on this EV6 is doing a great job. We had about 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour efficiency on the way down. We'll update you as we go. You find me at the nearly new Pilot Ultium EV Go station in Georgetown, Kentucky. 2 dispensers for 150 kilowatts each with 2 cords that are shareable. One of the stations is already out of order. I am successfully charging in another. The car did not precondition because I don't think it knew that it was here, so I can't really judge the speeds at this point. But it's great to see these new stations go in, but it's a little bit troublesome that they're already out of order. Rivian left. I was able to get in here, have a Mustang Mach-E beside me, and all is well. Okay, we made it home. 229.8 miles, 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour on a day that started in the middle 40s and ended in the low 40s here. So it's a pretty good low temperature range test at highway speeds. So there's probably no way this vehicle will see 310 miles in these temperatures. It's a great driving car. Car has a heat pump. It's pretty efficient on the whole, but the sort of sexy design, which looks great, does result in less interior space. Of course, the Ioniq 5 would have more interior space. The other disadvantage, of course, is the Ioniq 5, which is, again, on this same platform, the eGMP from Hyundai Kia, is that it will get less range. This is supposed to be in the rear-wheel drive model, 310 miles, the EPA range. I believe that's possible under ideal conditions. I think it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for Hyundai Kia. The designs are great, and they're supposed to be capable of over-the-air updates. But on the tech side, on the HVAC, the infotainment controls, all of that is it's real bad. Using the factory navigation, it doesn't tell you what your arrival state of charge will be. It does have on-route preconditioning, which is great. But we went to a newer station and the station wasn't there. It wasn't in the nav. And get this, once you're driving, it says that if you want to add a stop to the factory navigation, it says to use voice controls. We use voice controls and they're completely useless. In other words, if you had something en route plugged in and you wanted to change it or add another stop, you would literally have to stop the car to be able to make a change. Really? I mean, we could not figure out how to make that work. And again, it's important. It has Apple CarPlay, it has Android Auto, but you can't use those to precondition the car. On a cold day, the car charges great. The best thing about this car, other than the looks, in my opinion, is the 10 to 80%
charge rate of 18 minutes. That's real, and that's awesome. As a road tripper, it would be great, but you would have to use that factory navigation, which for me is a deal breaker. Honestly, if they update that, fine, or turn it all over to Apple and let Apple do it. That's fine with me. But you have to be able to designate that. I mean, to have to stop the car to change a direction or a location or a point of interest in the navigation is beyond absurd. This is a great first step for Kia. I'm excited about the EV9, the big 3-row SUV. I'm excited about the 2-row SUV. But if they can't fix the navigation and the HVAC controls and the infotainment, then there would be no point. That's a non-starter for me. I will say, while this is fun to drive, it's 0 to 60s in the 6-second range. That's pretty slow. I will say that we have driven the dual motor, and it's really fun to drive. We were strongly considering this versus our ID4 that we have, and I think we absolutely made a good decision going with the ID4. And honestly, I complain about Volkswagen's infotainment. Boom. This is much, much, much worse than Volkswagen. So if I'm missing something, please put it in the comments. If folks who own EV6, and if there's things I'm missing, or if you disagree, please let me know that too. I want to thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please do, as I said, put those questions in the comments. It would be a big help to us if you would like this video, and please do subscribe. We have another road trip coming. We're going to take our ID4 this time. We're going from Cincinnati to Asheville, North Carolina, and we're going to bring you along with us and explore the CCS network together. Thank you. I appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.